Hello, and welcome to our podcast episode number 24. Peasant becomes a legendary knight in an epic medieval adventure. I am Timothy, and I am here with my friend Thomas. Tonight, we are going to discuss a film called A Knight's Tale. As always, spoilers ahead. A Knight's Tale is a 2001 American medieval action comedy film about William Thatcher, a peasant squire who poses as a knight to compete in tournaments and gain fame while befriending historical figures like Edward the Black Prince and Geoffrey Chaucer. Well, Tom, did you like A Knight's Tale?
Well, Tim, I thought A Knight's Tale was quite entertaining. It's an interesting take on the medieval time period with its blend of historical figures and modern pop culture references. The soundtrack featuring 1970s music adds a unique touch to the film as well.
I agree, Tom, that it is quite entertaining. However, I found some parts of the film to be historically inaccurate, which took away from my overall enjoyment just slightly. For example, the use of modern language and music in a supposedly medieval setting seemed a bit jarring at times.
Yes, Tim, I can see your point about historical accuracy, but isn't it possible that such anachronisms were intentional? The filmmakers may have wanted to create a more accessible and entertaining story for the modern audience by incorporating elements from different time periods. Besides, it's not like they completely disregarded history. They included many notable historical figures in the plot as well.
I suppose you have a point there, Tom. However, I still believe that there should be some boundaries when it comes to mixing different eras in such a way. But moving on, let's talk about the characters. What did you think of William Thatcher and his companions, Roland and Watt?
I thought Heath Ledger did an excellent job portraying William Thatcher. His transformation from a simple squire to a renowned knight was quite inspiring. As for Roland and Watt, they provided some comic relief throughout the film, which helped lighten up the mood during intense tournament scenes or emotional moments between William and other characters like Jocelyn.
Well, I have to admit, that Heath Ledger did seem like he fit the role quite well. However, I found some parts of his character arc a bit predictable and trumpy. It's as if we've seen this story before, with the underdog rising to fame and fortune. That being said, it was still an enjoyable ride. Yeah, watching him navigate through tournaments and courtly intrigue.
Yes, I agree that there were some predictable elements in William Thatcher's character arc, but I also think it adds to the film's charm. It's a fun adventure movie with a classic underdog story at its core, which appeals to many audiences. Besides, the chemistry between Heath Ledger and Shannon Sossamon, who played Jocelyn, was quite endearing.
Well, speaking of Jocelyn, I felt that her character development was somewhat rushed. She goes from being a simple peasant to a confident lady in waiting in what seems like the blink of an eye. I would have liked to see more depth explored in her character and maybe even some conflicts within herself as she navigates through this new world of wealth and influence.
While I agree that Jocelyn's character development could have been better fleshed out, I think the filmmakers made a conscious decision to focus more on William Thatcher's journey. After all, it is his story they are telling. Plus, Shannon Sossamon did an excellent job portraying Jocelyn's transformation from a shy and innocent girl to a strong and confident woman. It's not like she had no character development at all.
Well, moving on from characters, let's discuss the plot twists in A Knight's Tale. I have to admit that I didn't see some of them coming, which is always a pleasant surprise when watching a film. The revelation about William Thatcher's true identity was particularly well done, and added an extra layer of complexity to his character arc.
Yes, I agree that the plot twists in A Knight's Tale were quite unexpected and added some excitement to the story. They also helped to keep the audience engaged throughout the film. Additionally, I enjoyed how the film used humor to lighten up tense moments without detracting from the overall seriousness of the plot. The scene where William Thatcher confronts Godfrey about his true intentions is a great example of this balance.
Well, Tom, it seems we have discussed quite a bit about A Knight's Tale already. Overall, I found the film to be entertaining and enjoyable despite its flaws in historical accuracy and character development. The plot twists and humor kept me engaged throughout the movie, which is always a plus in my book.
Yes, Tim. I have to say that A Knight's Tale was quite an enjoyable film as well. While it may not be perfect from a historical or character development standpoint, its blend of action, adventure, and humor made for an entertaining viewing experience, which is what really matters in the end. And who doesn't love watching Heath Ledger on screen? And speaking of the 1970s music, I have to say that I really enjoyed the soundtrack for this film. It added an extra layer of energy and excitement to each scene it was featured in. The use of classic rock songs like Queen's We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions, as well as modern hits like Joan Jett's Bad Reputation, really helped to create a unique atmosphere throughout the film. It almost felt like you were watching a medieval version of a rock concert at times.
I couldn't agree more, Tom. The soundtrack definitely played a significant role in enhancing the overall experience of A Knight's Tale. By blending these iconic songs with the action on screen, it created this sense of euphoria that carried you through each scene. It also added an element of fun and playfulness, which is important considering some parts of the film could have come across as too serious or dramatic without it.
Exactly. The soundtrack also managed to bridge the gap between generations by appealing both to older viewers who grew up with these songs and younger ones who might not be familiar with them yet but still appreciate their energy and catchiness. It's a testament to the filmmaker's ability to create a cohesive narrative that combines different elements from various time periods seamlessly.
Well said, Tom. I also think it's interesting how the music was used strategically during key moments in the film. For example, when William Thatcher first arrives at the tournament and the crowd begins chanting, "We will rock you," it really sets the tone for his entrance and helps establish him as a force to be reckoned with. Similarly, using "We Are the Champions" during the climactic jousting scene adds an extra layer of triumph and satisfaction when William emerges victorious.
Definitely. Those moments would not have been as impactful without those iconic songs backing them up. It's almost as if they became part of the story itself rather than just background music, which is quite remarkable considering how often film soundtracks can be overlooked or underappreciated.
And lastly, I want to point out that the use of music in A Knight's Tale serves as a reminder of the power of storytelling and how different art forms can intersect to create something truly special. By blending elements from history, literature, cinema, and even popular culture, the filmmakers have crafted an entertaining and memorable tale that continues to resonate with audiences years after its release.
Well said again, Tim. It's always fascinating to see how different creative minds come together to create something unique like A Knight's Tale. And I have to say, even with its flaws and imperfections, it remains one of my favorite films from that era because of the way it manages to captivate audiences through its bold storytelling and innovative approach. Yes, I agree that the casting for this film was spot on as well. Heath Ledger truly embodied the role of William Thatcher, bringing both vulnerability and strength to his character. His chemistry with Shannon Sossamon as Jocelyn was also quite endearing. Their characters' relationship evolves beautifully throughout the film, adding depth and emotion to what could have been a purely action-oriented plot.
I couldn't agree more, Tom. Heath Ledger brought such charm and charisma to his role that it was hard not to root for William Thatcher from the very beginning. His transformation from an unassuming squire to a confident knight felt genuine and inspiring, thanks in large part to Ledger's performance As for Shannon Sossaman as Jocelyn, she did an excellent job portraying her character's growth throughout the film. Her character arc was perhaps not as developed as William Thatcher's, but it still felt satisfying by the end of the story.
One aspect that really stood out for me in this film was Mark Addy's performance as Roland. His comic relief was perfectly timed and delivered with such enthusiasm that he often stole the scene. His character provided not only laughter but also moments of tenderness and vulnerability, adding depth to what could have been a one-dimensional role.
Precisely, Mark Addy's portrayal of Roland was truly outstanding. He brought such energy and humor to every scene he was in that it was impossible not to love his character. His bond with William Thatcher and Watt also added an extra layer of heart to the story, reminding us of the importance of friendship and loyalty in even the most unlikely situations.
And finally, we cannot forget Paul Bettany as Geoffrey Chaucer. His appearance in the film was a pleasant surprise for me personally, as I'm quite fond of him as an actor. His portrayal of Chaucer was both witty and charming, adding another level of sophistication to what is already a rather complex story.
Paul Bettany certainly made his mark on the film with his performance as Geoffrey Chaucer. His character added an air of intellect and refinement that contrasted nicely with the more rough, around the edges personalities of William Thatcher and his friends. His involvement in the plot also served to emphasize the historical significance of the story being told, which was a nice touch. In conclusion, A Knight's Tale had an excellent cast that brought depth and life to their respective roles. From Heath Ledger's charismatic performance as William Thatcher to Mark Addy's comic relief as Roland, each actor contributed greatly to making this film a memorable one for audiences everywhere. One aspect of the film that I found particularly interesting was its use of color. The predominant colors throughout are darker hues like browns and grays, which give off a more medieval feel. However, when important plot points or character arcs occur, there's often an infusion of brighter colors like reds and blues that help draw attention to these moments. It creates a visually striking contrast between the mundane aspects of life in the Middle Ages and the grandiose tournaments and events that William Thatcher becomes a part of.
I completely agree, Tim. The use of color in A Knight's Tale was quite effective in setting the tone for different scenes and emphasizing important moments within the story. It almost felt like the filmmakers were using colors to convey emotions or symbolize certain themes without relying too heavily on dialogue or exposition. For example, when William Thatcher first arrives at the tournament and we see him in his bright red armor, it signifies not only his newfound confidence but also serves as a visual representation of how he's stepping out of his comfort zone and embracing this new life as a knight.
And speaking of directing, I have to commend Brian Helgeland for his work behind the camera. His decision to use anachronisms like modern music and language was certainly controversial at first glance, but it ultimately served to make the film more accessible and entertaining for audiences. The pacing of the film was also quite well done. There were moments when the story slowed down to allow for character development and emotional beats, while other scenes moved quickly to maintain the excitement and energy of the tournaments and battles.
Unquestionably, Brian Helgeland did an excellent job balancing the various elements of the film: historical accuracy, modern sensibilities, action sequences, character arcs, to create a cohesive and engaging narrative. His direction also contributed greatly to the overall tone of A Knight's Tale. He managed to infuse humor into even the darkest moments without detracting from their impact or severity. That's no easy feat.
And lastly, I want to touch on the film's soundtrack once more because it truly was one of its standout features. The use of classic rock songs like We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions added an extra layer of energy and excitement that perfectly complemented the action on screen. It almost felt like these iconic tunes were part of the story itself, which is a testament to how well they were integrated into the film's narrative.
I completely agree. The soundtrack for A Knight's Tale was unquestionably brilliant and played a pivotal role in enhancing every aspect of the film, from its characters and action sequences to its themes and emotional beats. It's one of those rare instances where the music feels like an essential character all on its own, adding depth and richness to an already compelling story.
Well said, Tom. In conclusion, A Knight's Tale is a film that succeeds on many levels thanks to its talented cast and crew who work together seamlessly to create something truly special. From its captivating storytelling and innovative approach to its stunning visuals and memorable soundtrack, this film has left an indelible mark on audiences everywhere since its release in 2001.
Now, Timothy, let's discuss the cultural impact of A Knight's Tale. The film has been hailed as a modern classic and has left its mark on popular culture since its release in 2001. It's hard to deny that its blend of history, humor, and rock music has resonated with audiences worldwide.
Yes, Tom. I remember when the film first came out, it was met with both critical acclaim and commercial success. It seemed like everyone was talking about it and quoting lines from it. The soundtrack in particular became a staple at parties and gatherings for years to come.
Unquestionably, the film's use of music, as we discussed earlier, played a significant role in its cultural impact. Not only did it introduce younger audiences to classic rock songs, but it also made them more accessible by using them in a modern context. And let's not forget the iconic dance sequence between William Thatcher and Jocelyn set to "We Will Rock You." That scene alone has been parodied and referenced countless times in various media forms.
Additionally, A Knight's Tale also sparked an interest in medieval culture among younger generation. The film's portrayal of tournaments and knightly codes of honor made the Middle Ages seem more exciting and romanticized than perhaps they actually were. It was almost like a gateway for people to explore this period of history further, whether through books or other films set in the same era.
Speaking of which, I think it's worth mentioning that A Knight's Tale also paved the way for other similar films and TV shows that followed in its wake. Shows like Game of Thrones, Vikings, and The Last Kingdom owe a debt to this film for helping to popularize medieval settings and themes once again. And let's not forget about movies like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, or Braveheart, which also explored similar themes but with their own unique spin.
Well, said Tom, in conclusion, A Knight's Tale has had a lasting cultural impact that can still be felt today. Its blend of history, humor, and rock music has resonated with audiences worldwide, making it a modern classic that will continue to be enjoyed for years to come. It's truly remarkable how this film managed to transcend its genre and appeal to such a wide variety of people across generations.
I couldn't agree more, Timothy. A Knight's Tale is a testament to the power of storytelling and how different art forms can come together to create something truly special. It's been an absolute pleasure discussing this film with you today, and I'm sure our listeners have enjoyed it as much as we have. Thank you all for joining us on another episode of Tim and Tom's Film Nights.
Thank you for listening to our thoughts on this incredible film, A Knight's Tale. It truly is an underrated gem that manages to blend history, humor, and rock music in such a captivating way. The chemistry between the characters, led by Heath Ledger's performance as William Thatcher, is simply outstanding. And let's not forget about the impressive supporting cast, including Mark Addy as Roland and Paul Bettany as Geoffrey Chaucer.
I couldn't agree more, Timothy. The storytelling in this film is truly exceptional. It manages to transport us back to the Middle Ages while also keeping things relatable and entertaining for modern audiences. And of course, we can't forget about the soundtrack. Those classic rock songs perfectly complement the action on screen and have become iconic in their own right.
As we wrap up this episode, we want to hear your thoughts on A Knight's Tale. Did you enjoy the film as much as we did? What were your favorite moments or characters? And what do you think about our discussion today? Be sure to leave us a comment below and let us know.
Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more episodes of Tim and Tom's Film Nights. We have plenty of exciting films lined up for the future, so make sure you stay tuned. And if you enjoyed this episode or found it helpful in any way, please share it with your friends and family who might be interested as well.
Thank you all again for joining us on this incredible journey through A Knight's Tale. We hope you enjoyed our thoughts and insights into this fantastic film. Until next time, happy viewing.